So this comes out of Texas.
In overdrive, searching for anything or anyone to help identify Mike and Cynthia's shooter. While reviewing surveillance footage from businesses around the McClelland household, a white Ford Crown Victoria can be seen speeding through the streets. Meanwhile, another team of investigators were taking a look through the past cases involving both Mike McClelland and Mark Hasse. From these case files, a new suspect emerged, former Justice of the Peace and Mensa member, Eric Williams. In 2011, Eric was arrested and charged with felony theft. This Mensa-certified genius seemed to have forgotten that there were cameras in the courthouse when he stole 3 computers.
So, this guy, he's a justice of the peace. So he's like a magistrate. He's a judge. He's a lower level judge. This lower level judge had took 3 computers out of the building, the courthouse, police building, I forget what they said, but that's what he's got in his hands right there. He's got 3 computers, and then because he took 3 computers out of the IT department, they are going to prosecute him, the people that got killed. They're going to prosecute him for theft. And they even offered him a deal to lower it to a misdemeanor, but he rejected it, took it to trial, and he was convicted. And so, because he got convicted, that's a felony. He got 2 years probation, so not a huge, fine and jail sentence, but he's going to lose his judgeship. He's not going to be a justice of the peace anymore. Well, you just took the man's, power, his precious power. He used to be, this big hulking judge, and everybody had to kiss his, behind, and so naturally, what would a judge do who was a judge and then was, taken out of its judgeship? Well, he turns into a serial killer. He turns into a serial killer, and he ends up killing 3 people. And he killed 3 people that was connected to the case.
Following his arrest, he was brought to the interrogation room for questioning.
Okay, before we get started, Lloyd Moran, you're an attorney, you're a judge, so you know this what is asking for.
I know you gotta read. It's been an ongoing kind of thing where I tell the IT people, look, that I need to keep improving things.
I understand, but you hadn't put any kind of written request, nothing like that's been documented.
No, okay.
I don't think that you actually believe, you're an educated person, I see your class ring on your finger, that you can just walk into the ID department and say, I need a monitor, I'm taking that one.
There's places that do that.
Places being here in Coleman County, or?
Well, there's businesses that, yeah.
Eric was offered a plea deal, which would reduce the charges from a felony to...
Another crazy part to this entire case is he's like making anonymous phone calls, kind of like Anonymous does, with like a recorded voice, but he was just kind of like threatening law enforcement. So he's almost like, he's pestering them, he's annoying them, he's like, just doing all this extra crazy stuff. Here's some facts from Wikipedia. 2013, 2 prosecutors and a prosecutor's wife were murdered in Kaufman County, Texas. So 2013, 12 years ago. Had national attention. They thought the Aryan Brotherhood was responsible. That wasn't true. It was Eric Lyle Williams, born 1967, a former lawyer and justice of the peace whose theft case was prosecuted by 2 of the victims, was tried, and he was found guilty, and then he was sentenced to death for 2 of the murders. So, because they had prosecuted that theft case against him, he lost his justice of the peace. He went after the people that did it. He went after the 2 people that had prosecuted the case, and, now you have 3 dead bodies. Eventually, they're going to find, like, some sort of storage facility where they have, like, all of the goods, because they're going to say that he got rid of the guns, and it turns out he didn't get rid of the guns. In the storage facility, they found everything. They found like a cache of not just a whole bunch of guns. He said he had 16 guns. Then they also found like pickle jars full of napalm. My God, people just really lose their minds, and people in high places, I guess they got, access to a lot of stuff. It's crazy.
Misdemeanor. But he refused this offer, and the case was sent to trial. The prosecution team consisted of Mark Hasse and Mike McClelland. Eric was ultimately found guilty. He was only sentenced to 2 years probation, but what really stung was that he was now a convicted felon. As a result, his position as Justice of the Peace and his law license were revoked. Following Mark and Mike's death in 2013, Eric was asked to take part in a police interview. He He refused to speak with the investigators following the advice of his attorneys. However, Eric had no problem speaking with the media, giving his 2 cents throughout the investigation.
First, I want to say that my deepest condolences go out to the McClellan family and all the people at the courthouse, most of which I know. I cooperated with law enforcement. I certainly wish them the best in bringing justice for this incredibly egregious act.
Has anyone connected with this?
That is incredible. He's the one that did it. He's the one that did it. And he's saying that he wants justice to be brought. And he's saying that his heart goes out to, the McClellans?
Investigation suggested to you that you are a person of interest in the investigation.
No.
Did you bear either of those men any kind of grudge?
No, absolutely not. My heartfelt condolences go out to both the McClellan family and the Hassey family because they were in public office doing the right thing and for some reason that we're not aware of have paid the ultimate price for that.
While Eric segued between several media outlets, investigators continued to look into him as the prime suspect. To their surprise, Eric had no record of ever owning it.
That's twice he said that. That's twice he invoked the names of the people that he gunned down and said that, for whatever reason, we don't know. So he's going to get tried and convicted. He's going to try to do a couple of appeals. He was sentenced to die in 2014 by lethal injection. His wife got sentenced to 40 years in prison. But he's still alive. He's still alive, and it says that online TDCJ, so the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, says that he was still there in early 2025. And then lawyers of Williams called for a new trial after releasing a 169-page filing where they explained that they didn't have enough time to review the evidence and prepare for trial. The filing was claimed that he was tried by a biased judge and that his trial was unfair. The request would later be denied by Judge David Godbey, February 15th, 2024. So let's just take a look at this last...
A White Crown Victoria. Thankfully, on April 11th, 12 days after the McClelland murders, Eric fired his attorney.
So he's going to go... He got another person to sign up for a storage bin, and then when they found out that he was arrested for something, the guy with the storage bin came forward and said, you need to check this out.
Month 6, forever. These 4 milestones represent
2013. Police executed a search of this unit, and to say they hit the jackpot would be an understatement. Not only did they find the White Crown Victoria, but they also unveiled police uniforms and badges, bulletproof vests, and an arsenal of weaponry, including knives, a crossbow, multiple guns, and ammunition that could have killed both Mark Hassey and the McClellans. And of course, pickle jars filled with homemade napalm. Several firearms were sent in for forensic testing, along with a stray bullet which was found in a random bag away from all of the other ammunition. As for the silver sedan, police were eventually able to locate receipts for a silver Mercury Sable, which had been towed away after sitting in the storage facility.
He was in the Army, or SWAT. He had a bulletproof vest that had sheriff on the side. That more than likely Mrs. McClellan was going to answer the door and he was going to introduce himself as a policeman.
You may be wondering why Cynthia had to die if Mike was the target. Kim explained Eric's simple reasoning to the court.
She would be there as a witness, and he described it as collateral damage.
What did he tell you about how Cynthia McClellan died?
He told me that he had to shoot her an extra time because she was still moaning.
That night, Kim and Eric celebrated the double murder by having a feast.
We had steaks on the grill, and Eric cooked those.
At your parents' house?
At my parents' house.
Were y'all celebrating with steaks?
That's correct.
During the guilt phase of the trial, the prosecution team was not allowed to bring up the details of the Mark Hassey case, so they used this opportunity to bring the jury up to speed.
Did you agree to drive?
Yes, I did.
You knew what was going to happen.
Yes, I did.
Why did you agree to drive to the murder of Mark Hassey?
I was so drugged up, and I so believed in Eric and everything that he told me. His anger was my anger.
Kim went on to recount the moments following Mark's shooting.
As you're driving away from the scene of the Hassey murder, what is his mood like?
Happy.
This is Stay Awake, Crime and Psychology. That's where I got it from. Stay Awake, Crime and Psychology.
What is your mood like?
Happy.
She also recalled driving to a bridge one night with Eric, where he threw a bag into the lake below.
Do you know what was in the bag?
I knew that it was guns.
After 7 months of searching, the bag was found at the bottom of the lake. It turns out that it wasn't a bag at all, but rather a Halloween mask that Eric wore during Mark's shooting in order to conceal his face. Inside the mask was 2 revolvers, one of which was confirmed to have killed Mark.
And you can imagine the terror that was going through Mark Hassett when he recognized and heard the voice.
Kim also revealed that Eric had several more victims in mind. This hit list included a judge that he planned on killing in a more creative way than the others.
And who else?
Judge Ashworth.
How did he tell you he was going to kill Judge Ashworth?
He was going to shoot him with a crossbow.
What was the napalm for?
I guess to drive in an extra kind of FU. He's going to bore a hole in his stomach and pour it in.
The defense tried to combat this disturbing testimony with a small army of character witnesses. No matter how hard the defense worked, Eric's fate was ultimately left to the jury, and on December 17, 2014, Eric Williams was sentenced to death